Charlie Munger said, to get what you want, you have to deserve what you want. But what if you're broke and barely surviving? Most people stay poor, not from lack of money, but from lack of mental models. They think like spenders, not investors. Munger's rule, invert, always invert. Don't ask how to get rich, ask what keeps people poor. They chase instant pleasure, avoid hard thinking, and confuse effort with progress. Munger called that denying reality. Even on a low income, you can flip it. Track every dollar. Study value, not price. Delay gratification. You don't need more money, you need more discipline. Munger never chased money first. He focused on becoming useful, and wealth followed. Maybe your low income is your best training ground. His real weapon? Compounding knowledge before compounding money. You escape poverty by upgrading how you think, daily. But here's the kicker. Munger warned about one mindset even smart people never escape. If you believe you can break out of poverty mindset, hit like, subscribe, and comment I break above limitations. Charlie Munger once said, to get what you want, you have to deserve what you want. That line sounds simple, almost too simple, but it hides a brutal truth. Most people never even try to deserve what they want. They dream of freedom, but avoid the thinking, discipline, and learning that make freedom possible. That's not a moral failure, it's a mental trap. A pattern of thinking built from years of scarcity, fear, and short-term survival. Munger called it denying reality. And escaping it doesn't start with money. It starts with how you think about money. Because you can live on a low income and still move upward if you stop copying how poor minds think and start adopting how rational minds build. Let's get real. Poverty isn't just missing cash. It's missing clarity. It's living in a fog where every decision feels urgent, every bill feels personal, and every opportunity looks like a scam. People stuck here ask the wrong questions. They ask, how do I make more money, instead of why do I keep losing control of the money I have? Munger would tell you, invert the problem. If you want to escape poverty, stop trying to copy the rich. Start by studying what keeps people poor. Let's invert. Poor people spend first and think later. They chase comfort over control. They react emotionally to every financial hit. They believe effort equals income, that working harder guarantees wealth. But Munger understood the market doesn't pay for effort, it pays for judgment. Effort without judgment is motion without progress. That's why some people work 2 jobs and stay broke, while others think deeply, make a single smart decision, and break free forever. Here's what Munger teaches. Your results come from mental models, the patterns you use to interpret the world. If your model is I'm always behind, you'll act like you're behind. If your model is money is scarce, you'll treat it like it's radioactive, afraid to move it, afraid to invest, afraid to risk. That fear keeps you small. It keeps you focused on the next paycheck, not the next system. Scarcity thinking whispers, I can't afford to fail. So you never try. It tells you, once I earn more, I'll save. But you never do, because spending expands to match your excuses. Munger flipped that script. The first rule of compounding is never interrupted unnecessarily. He wasn't just talking about money, he meant habits, skills, knowledge. If you can stay consistent long enough, your tiny progress compounds. That's how you escape the gravity of poverty. You don't need more speed, you need direction. Picture 2 people, both earning the same low income. One spends every extra dollar chasing relief, takeout, gadgets, short vacations. The other builds a buffer, studies basic investing, and tracks every expense. 5 years later, the first one is still stressed. The second one might still be earning modestly, but they own something, control, clarity, direction. That's Munger's point, wealth is control over your decisions. Even if you're broke, you can start practicing control today. Munger believed ignorance is expensive. Every bad habit, every impulsive choice, every financial mistake, they're tuition. But only if you learn the lesson. Here's how you start escaping. 1. Invert every problem. Ask, if I wanted to stay broke forever, what would I do? Then stop doing those things. 2. Adopt a learning bias. Learn something useful daily, not entertainment, but leverage knowledge. 3. Practice delayed gratification. Every time you delay a small pleasure, you build the muscle that wealth demands. 4. Detach emotion from money. Money is a tool, not a trophy. Treat it like fuel, not validation. You can do all that without earning a cent more than you do right now. That's the clarity Munger offered. You win by thinking better, not working harder. The rich don't just make better decisions, they think differently before deciding. They use filters, systems, and feedback loops. That's what Munger called mental models, frameworks that help you see reality clearly. And once you learn to see clearly, the path out of poverty becomes obvious. Simple, not easy, but obvious. Charlie Munger's edge wasn't luck or talent, it was clarity. He built a latticework of mental models, little lenses that kept him from fooling himself. Most people never build one. They rely on emotion, hope, and memory, three of the weakest systems in human history. When you're broke, bad thinking costs the most. So if you want to escape the poverty mindset, you need better models, clear patterns for seeing reality the way it actually is, not the way stress paints it. Let's break down 4 of Munger's favorites and translate them into real-life moves for anyone living on a tight income. 1. Inversion, learn by flipping the problem. Munger's mantra, invert, always invert. Instead of asking, how do I get rich, ask, what behaviors guarantee I stay poor? That single shift removes the fog. You don't need a perfect plan, just stop doing what clearly fails. Don't spend money before earning it. Don't rely on luck. Don't refuse to learn because it feels slow. Inversion exposes blind spots. If you catch yourself saying, I deserve a break, invert it, would future me thank me for this? If not, skip it. This mindset turns every temptation into a clarity test. The goal isn't to suffer, it's to stop self-sabotage before it compounds. 2. Circle of competence, stay in the zone you understand. Munger and Buffett built empires by staying inside what they truly understood. For someone living on a low income, this principle is gold. You don't have to chase every side hustle, every crypto tip, every passive income promise. Your circle might start small, maybe it's your trade, your local market, your ability to budget, cook, fix, sell, or design. Expand that circle by 1 inch every week. Read 1 solid book. Watch 1 tutorial. The poor mindset says, I need quick returns. The Munger mindset says, I need solid ground. Depth beats breadth. Once you know one domain cold, opportunities find you because competence is magnetic. 3. Compound knowledge, the real engine of wealth. Most people think compounding applies only to money. Munger flipped that, knowledge compounds faster. When you're broke, your brain is your only asset with infinite return potential. Read daily. Think daily. Write ideas down. 1 new insight a day becomes 365 chances a year to avoid mistakes. Munger's rule, go to bed smarter than you woke up. You can't control your income yet, but you can control how much smarter you become before tomorrow morning. Even 10 minutes of reading about psychology, business, or clear thinking beats an hour of doom scrolling. Knowledge stacked consistently builds judgment, and judgment eventually prints money. 4. Opportunity cost, choosing what matters most. Every yes hides a no. Poor minds forget this. They say yes to every impulse, every purchase, every request, every distraction. Munger used opportunity cost as a weapon. He'd ask, what else could I be doing with this time or dollar? You can do the same, even on a low income. Before buying something, compare it to your best alternative. If I skip this $20 dinner, could I buy a book that teaches me how to earn $200 next year? When you start thinking in opportunity costs, every decision becomes investment math. You stop being reactive and start being strategic, and that shift quietly builds wealth long before the paychecks rise. Mental models in daily life. Let's make this concrete. Say you earn just enough to survive. Rent, food, transport, nothing left. How do you use Munger's models here? Invert, list every behavior that drains you: late fees, impulse buys, borrowing from friends, and eliminate one per month. Circle of competence, pick one skill you already know a little about and master it. Maybe budgeting apps, Excel, or phone repair. Compound knowledge, replace half an hour of social media with content that teaches you something repeatable. Opportunity cost, track where time leaks. Every wasted hour could have been a small project, a client, or a learning session. You're not chasing income, you're building leverage. Munger once said, the best thing a human being can do is help another human being know more. Teach what you learn. Explain ideas to others. Teaching multiplies clarity and forces deep understanding. That's the kind of compounding that doesn't require a bank account, only curiosity and consistency. Here's the turning point. Most advice tells you to hustle harder. Munger tells you to think better. Because when your thinking improves, every decision improves, and those tiny, smarter decisions stack like bricks. That's how you escape poverty on a low income, one upgraded decision at a time. In the next part, we'll turn these mental models into real-world moves, budgeting systems, learning routines, and daily habits that translate Munger's clarity into survival mode action. Applying Munger's principles on a low income. Charlie Munger didn't grow up rich. He started broke, selling newspapers, repairing shoes, surviving the Great Depression. But even then, he trained his brain like an investor. He didn't just save money, he studied why people made dumb decisions with it. That's where this begins. You don't need a high income to think like Munger. You just need structure, small systems that make good behavior automatic and bad behavior expensive. 1. The budget Munger would approve. Forget complicated spreadsheets. Munger valued simplicity that works. Step 1. Categorize every dollar into just 3 boxes: survival, investment, and growth. Survival, rent, food, transport. Needs only. Investment, anything that builds future income, books, online courses, skill tools. Growth, your emergency fund and long-term savings, no matter how tiny. Every paycheck, you hit these in order. Survival first. Investment second. Growth last. If you're on an extremely low income, that growth slice might be $10 a month. Doesn't matter. The point isn't the amount, it's the discipline. That habit builds the psychological foundation for wealth control. Munger said, the first rule of compounding is never interrupted unnecessarily. That includes the compounding of discipline. Even when the number is small, consistency is the signal that you're leaving the poverty mindset. 2. Reduce financial friction. People in scarcity often drown in mental clutter. Too many bills, too many due dates, too many tiny decisions. Simplify. Automate every payment you can. Cancel subscriptions that don't add measurable value. Bundle errands. Remove choices that drain focus. The goal isn't to save time, it's to protect attention. Munger guarded his attention like gold. Every minute spent worrying about a $30 bill is a minute not spent learning a $300 skill. 3. Treat every dollar as an employee. Imagine each dollar you earn is an employee working for you. Would you hire one to sit on the couch and scroll social media? No. You'd assign it a job, rent, groceries, education, savings. Munger saw capital as labor that never sleeps. Even small amounts, when directed wisely, start working 24/7. That's why poor minds spend, rich minds deploy. If you're living lean, your job is to make sure every dollar has a mission, not a mood. 4. Build a learning system. Munger said, go to bed smarter than you woke up. So let's make that practical. Create a learning loop. Input, spend 30 minutes a day learning something useful, finance, logic, communication, investing, psychology. Process, write one sentence about what you learned and how it applies to your life. Output, apply one idea within 24 hours, even in a tiny way. That's not motivation. That's compounding intelligence. You don't need college for this. The internet is full of free knowledge. Your only cost is attention, and that's the cheapest investment you'll ever make with the highest return. Each piece of knowledge adds to your mental capital, the thing Munger prized more than money. Eventually, that capital attracts real capital. 5. Think like an investor, even when you're broke. You don't need stocks to act like an investor. Investors think in returns, on time, effort, and choices. Ask this daily. What am I doing right now that gives me the highest long-term return? Sometimes the answer is rest. Sometimes it's reading. Sometimes it's saying no to something that burns time for zero gain. The poverty mindset trades long-term peace for short-term relief. The Munger mindset flips that short-term sacrifice for long-term leverage. That one reversal changes your trajectory permanently. 6. Learn to love boredom. Munger said, the big money is not in the buying or the selling, but in the waiting. That applies to life. When you're low income, progress feels invisible. You'll think, I'm saving $20, what's the point? The point is you're proving you can wait. Waiting, in a world addicted to speed, is a superpower. It means you trust your process more than your impulse. That's when you stop chasing and start compounding. 7. Build usefulness as currency. Munger never chased money, he chased usefulness. He knew if you become valuable, money hunts you down. Ask yourself, how can I become more useful this month? You might fix something for neighbors, teach a skill, or document your learning online. Each act builds a reputation, and reputation is leverage. Even with no savings, usefulness creates optionality. Optionality is freedom, the ability to choose what you do next. That's the first real taste of wealth. 8. Track, reflect, adjust. Every month, track 2 things. How your money moved. How your mindset shifted. Did you react emotionally to spending? Did you waste time on comfort instead of clarity? Did you make one decision that future you would thank you for? Munger's secret was relentless self-audit. He wasn't harsh, just honest. He didn't punish mistakes, he learned from them. That's how he stayed rational while everyone else chased trends. If you do the same, you'll notice something strange. Even without more income, life starts feeling lighter. You begin to own your days again. That's what escaping the poverty mindset really means, ownership of thought. Let's pause here. You've seen how Munger's ideas work in theory and practice. But there's a deeper layer, discipline versus desire. Because no mindset shift sticks unless you understand how emotion hijacks reason. That's what we'll tackle next, how to build unshakable discipline and destroy the habits that quietly keep you broke. The real enemy. Charlie Munger once said, a lot of people with high IQs are terrible investors because they've got terrible temperaments. He didn't mean anger. He meant impulses. The poverty mindset isn't just financial, it's emotional. It's the need for instant relief, the addiction to now. You can teach someone budgeting in 10 minutes, but teaching them to delay gratification? That's a lifetime skill. Munger mastered this. He built discipline so strong, desire had no leverage over him. And that's the next step in escaping the poverty trap, making discipline your default setting. Understanding desire. Desire screams louder when you're broke. Why? Because when life feels scarce, any small pleasure feels like proof you're alive. That's why you buy fast food when you have food at home. That's why you scroll instead of study. It's not laziness, it's emotional debt. Munger understood that emotion hijacks rational thought. So he created distance between feeling and decision. He said, the best armor is to keep out of situations that cause temptation. Meaning, don't fight impulse where it's strongest. Avoid the trigger altogether. If your weakness is online shopping, delete the app. If your weakness is comparison, block the feed. Discipline starts with environment, not willpower. The discipline formula. Munger built his self-control like a mathematician, not a monk. He knew habits beat motivation. Here's his formula, simplified for real life. Clarity plus consistency equals discipline. Clarity means knowing exactly what matters. You can't be disciplined if your goals are foggy. Write down what escape looks like: debt-free, stable savings, a skill you can sell. Name it. Then comes consistency. Make your rules binary, no debate. Example, I read before bed, every night. Not I'll try to read more. Binary habits are discipline in code form, clear, repeatable, emotion-proof. The power of boring repetition. Munger called patience one of life's greatest competitive advantages. He knew repetition compounds results, even when it feels invisible. Poor minds crave novelty in new diets, new side hustles, new distractions. Rich minds crave consistency. Doing the same smart thing for years looks boring but compounds quietly. If you can outweight your impulses, you can outgrow your circumstances. That's discipline. Every day you choose boredom over excitement, you're teaching your brain that stability is strength. That's how Munger built wealth, slowly, predictably, deliberately. Mental triggers for control. When temptation hits, Munger used what he called mental guardrails. These are pre-decided thoughts that keep you rational under pressure. Here are 3 you can use today. 1. Invert the impulse. If I buy this, what does it steal from future me? 2. Run the math. How many hours of work does this cost? 3. Think in decades. Will this matter in 10 years? Each question buys you a pause, and in that pause, logic can breathe. That's where the poverty mindset loses power. Delay as a superpower. Munger once said, the big money is in the waiting. He meant more than investing, he meant life. Waiting is emotional resistance training. Every time you delay gratification, you're building a stronger version of yourself. The longer you can wait for reward, the higher your ceiling for success. If you're on a low income, waiting is your leverage. You can't outspend others, but you can outweight them, saving, learning, and acting when it counts. Time becomes your currency. Patience becomes your interest rate. Discipline in chaos. Life will test this mindset constantly. Bills, emergencies, family pressure, chaos attacks focus. Munger handled chaos by zooming out. He'd say, it's not supposed to be easy. Anyone who finds it easy is stupid. That's perspective, not pessimism. When you expect difficulty, you stop taking struggle personally. That detachment is discipline. It lets you keep working your process while others panic. Even when your bank account's low, that mental calm is priceless. It's the one thing poverty can't steal. Replacing emotion with process. Here's Munger's secret. He didn't trust emotion, he replaced it with process. Every time he made a decision, he used checklists. He wrote things down. He asked, what would I think about this if I weren't emotionally involved? That distance, that small pause, saved him from thousands of mistakes. You can do the same. Create a money checklist, a decision checklist, a reaction checklist. It sounds robotic, but it's liberation. You stop living by moods and start living by models. Rewarding the right behavior. Discipline shouldn't feel like punishment. Munger rewarded good thinking with peace of mind. When you resist impulse, celebrate, not with spending, but with reflection. Write it down. I waited. I didn't fold. That record becomes proof of progress. When you see evidence that discipline works, you start craving control more than comfort. That's when the poverty mindset starts breaking apart for good. The emotional payoff. Here's the paradox. When you stop chasing comfort, life becomes comfortable. Because you control the one thing that matters, yourself. Discipline isn't about restriction. It's about freedom. It's not about saying no, it's about choosing when to say yes. Munger lived that way for decades, quietly, rationally, free. And anyone, no matter their income, can start today. You don't need luck. You need structure. You don't need motivation. You need habits. You don't need more money. You need more self-control. That's how you build wealth from the inside out. So far, you've built clarity, applied systems, and strengthened discipline. But Munger's next principle takes it even deeper: usefulness. Because escaping poverty isn't just about surviving, it's about creating value that multiplies your options. That's where we go next, turning Munger's philosophy of usefulness into a new kind of wealth. The real currency. Charlie Munger never chased fame, luck, or trends. He chased usefulness. Because in any economy, usefulness is the only currency that never crashes. He knew something most people never learn. Money flows to value, and value flows from competence. You can't always raise your income immediately. But you can raise your usefulness today. And when usefulness compounds, opportunity starts knocking. The poverty lie: I have nothing to offer. The poverty mindset whispers: no one needs what I can do. That's a lie. You don't escape poverty by waiting to be discovered, you escape by becoming useful to others. Munger said, the best way to get what you want is to deserve what you want. Deserve means deliver value. It means people trust your work, your word, your judgment. It means someone can rely on you to solve a problem, big or small. And here's the truth: usefulness isn't talent. It's discipline applied to learning. It's built through repetition, humility, and curiosity. Start small, aim deep. You don't need a grand plan. Start where you are. If you're good at fixing things, document it. If you can cook cheap but healthy meals, share that knowledge. If you're organized, help others structure their time. Munger would call that building competence. He said, spend each day trying to be a little wiser than you were when you woke up. That's usefulness in motion, quiet, deliberate improvement. The poor mindset wants recognition, the Munger mindset wants mastery. Recognition follows mastery automatically. The leverage equation. Once you build competence, leverage multiplies it. Leverage means 1 unit of your effort produces 10 units of impact. It comes in 3 forms. 1. Knowledge leverage. What you know continues to work while you sleep. 2. Technology leverage. Tools that multiply output, code, automation, media. 3. Network leverage. People who amplify your usefulness. Even if you earn minimum wage, you can use all 3. Learn skills once, reuse them forever. Use free tools to share or sell your ideas. Connect with others who respect discipline and curiosity. That's how modern compounding works: knowledge, usefulness, leverage, freedom. Become a problem magnet. Munger said, the great investors are always looking for mispriced bets. In life, mispriced bets are unpopular problems. Most people avoid problems, they feel heavy, stressful. But problems are disguised opportunity. If you can solve even one issue others ignore, you become valuable instantly. Look around your environment. What frustrates people? What breaks repeatedly? What wastes time? Start there. You don't need perfection, just persistence. The world rewards problem solvers, not complainers. And solving small problems consistently turns into solving big ones naturally. Learn to think in systems. Munger built systems, not one-off wins. He believed average people can achieve great results if they designed systems that make good behavior automatic. A system means you don't rely on motivation. You rely on process. For example, don't try to remember to learn. Schedule it. Don't hope to save. Automate it. Don't aim to improve. Measure it. Poor minds live by goals, rational minds live by systems. Systems scale usefulness faster than hustle ever can. Multiplying usefulness through communication. Munger was a master communicator. He believed clear thinking demanded clear speech. He said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. That's your next advantage. Whatever you learn, teach it, to a friend, to a camera, to a notebook. Teaching transforms competence into clarity. And clarity is magnetic. When people see you articulate solutions, they see someone worth paying attention to. That's how reputation builds, not with followers, but with trust. Create value before you paid. This is where most people hesitate. They say, I'll work hard when I'm paid fairly. But Munger flipped it, deliver value first, the reward follows. If you create more value than you're paid for, markets notice. People remember. Opportunities compound quietly in your absence. That's how leverage grows, through over-delivering when no one's watching. It's slow at first, but eventually exponential. Measure usefulness, not status. Status is a trap. Usefulness is freedom. Poor minds measure life by how things look, rational minds measure by how things work. Status burns energy. Usefulness builds it. Ask yourself weekly, am I solving bigger problems than last month? If yes, you're wealthier, whether your income changed or not. Wealth is measured in options, not objects. Usefulness buys those options. The reputation flywheel. Munger's secret weapon was trust. He built a reputation so strong that people invested with him without hesitation. Reputation is compound interest in human form. Every honest action, every reliable promise, every small success adds to it. And once it spins, opportunities accelerate, jobs, clients, partners, investors. When your name equals competence plus integrity, you no longer chase wealth. Wealth chases you. So far, you've built thinking, discipline, and usefulness, the architecture of wealth. But Munger warned, even the smartest people can fall into one invisible trap that destroys it all. That's what we uncover next, the mindset almost nobody escapes. The invisible trap. Charlie Munger spent his entire life studying human misjudgment. He wasn't afraid of competition, he was afraid of self-deception. He said, it's not greed that drives the world, but envy. And envy, he warned, is the invisible trap, the poverty of comparison. This is the mindset that kills clarity, destroys discipline, and poisons usefulness. Even the smartest fall into it. Because envy doesn't look like envy. It looks like ambition, progress, success, until you realize you're living by someone else's scoreboard. The trap of comparison. The poverty mindset doesn't always show up as lack. Sometimes it hides in the constant chase to look caught up. Scrolling social media, you see everyone winning. So you upgrade your phone, your clothes, your lifestyle, not because it adds value, but because it reduces the pain of feeling behind. That's envy disguised as motivation. And Munger called it one of the most destructive human biases, because it never ends. He said, someone will always be richer, smarter, or better looking. Envy is a really stupid sin because it's the only one you can't have any fun at. The moment you compare, you stop improving for yourself and start performing for others. That's the death of rational growth. The bias of self-justification. Munger believed the most dangerous phrase in human thinking is, I already know that. That's the arrogance that keeps people broke. When you think you've arrived, you stop learning. And the second you stop learning, your mental compounding halts. He said, it's remarkable how much long-term advantage people like us have gotten by trying to be consistently not stupid, instead of trying to be very intelligent. In other words, humility compounds. Admit ignorance faster. Question your own beliefs daily. That's not weakness, that's maintenance. Even when you're right, stay curious enough to ask, what am I missing? That's how you keep your clarity sharp when everyone else dulls theirs with ego. The illusion of control. When life's uncertain, the poor mindset craves control over the wrong things, appearances, small wins, comfort. Munger reversed that. He focused only on what he could truly control: thinking, behavior, and reaction. He ignored predictions, trends, and gossip. He said, if you can't predict the future, focus on preparing for it. Preparation beats prediction. That's how you turn anxiety into action. You can't control markets or inflation, but you can control how you respond, how you learn, and how you adjust. That's real power. The ego trap. Success can be more dangerous than struggle. Once you start improving, ego creeps in. You start believing the rules no longer apply to you. Munger called ego the enemy of compounding. Because arrogance makes you skip steps. It makes you forget the discipline that built you. He avoided this by anchoring himself to principles, not pride. Every decision was filtered through reason, not emotion. That's why he could admit mistakes faster than anyone else. Ego wants to win arguments, wisdom wants to learn lessons. The day you start defending your bad ideas instead of improving them, that's the day growth stops. Confirmation bias, the comfort of agreement. Munger said, the human mind is like the human egg: once a conclusion gets inside, it's very hard to get anything else in. That's confirmation bias, the instinct to seek information that agrees with what you already believe. It feels safe, but it's mental quicksand. Poor minds protect beliefs, rational minds test them. If something feels good to hear, question it twice. If something feels uncomfortable, that's a clue you're learning. Munger's rule: you must force yourself to consider arguments on the other side. That's how you keep growing when others start echoing themselves into stagnation. The comfort addiction. Comfort is the quiet killer of progress. It disguises itself as peace, but really, it's sedation. When life gets slightly easier, a raise, a cushion, a bit of savings, most people stop doing the hard thinking that got them there. They coast. Then life punches back, and they have no resilience left. Munger stayed uncomfortable by choice. He always had a challenge: a book, a puzzle, a business, something that demanded mental stretching. He knew comfort breeds decay. So he treated comfort like dessert: earned, rare, and temporary. The emotional blind spot. Even disciplined minds can fall to emotion. Fear, greed, pride, Munger saw them all as viruses that cloud decision-making. His solution? A mental quarantine. He'd pause before reacting, run the numbers, and ask, is this emotion useful, or is it noise? That single question saves fortunes and lives. Emotional literacy is wealth. If you can name your emotions before they control you, you're already richer than most. The trap of neglecting relationships. Munger knew wealth built alone collapses. He said, the best way to get a good partner is to deserve a good partner. He meant in business, friendship, marriage, everything. The poverty mindset isolates, the rational mindset collaborates. You can't escape scarcity surrounded by people who think small. Upgrade your circle, or at least upgrade your input. The people around you shape what feels normal. Make sure growth is their normal. The humility loop. After all his success, Munger stayed humble enough to learn until his last days. He once said, all I want to know is where I'm going to die, so I'll never go there. That's humor built on inversion, wisdom disguised as wit. Humility keeps the door open. Arrogance locks it shut. The invisible trap is thinking you're immune to the trap. The second you believe you've mastered your mindset, it starts mastering you. You've come full circle, from poverty of circumstance to poverty of thought. Now, you understand how Munger's teachings dismantle both. But every story needs a turning point, a climax where theory meets test. Because knowing all this means nothing if you don't face the moment that forces you to use it. That's where we go next, the moment of collision, when your mindset is tested by reality. Every philosophy sounds wise until the rent's due. Until the car breaks down. Until you're staring at the numbers and the math doesn't care about mindset. That's the moment Charlie Munger prepared for, the collision between theory and chaos. He said, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to your level of preparation. This is where the poverty mindset and the Munger mindset part ways. One panics. The other pauses, thinks, and adapts. 1. The stress test. Picture this: your hours get cut, income drops overnight. The old reflex screams, borrow, complain, quit. But the Munger-trained mind runs a checklist. Invert: what would make this worse? Debt. Despair. Delay. So you avoid all three. Circle of competence: what can I still do well? Focus there. Compound knowledge: what can I learn from this? Turn loss into lesson. Opportunity cost: if I freeze now, what does it cost my future self? That's not positivity, that's clarity under fire. The mindset you built in calm becomes the armor you wear in chaos. 2. Turning crisis into feedback. Munger treated every setback like data. He'd ask, what mistake did reality just point out? When you lose money, time, or trust, don't just feel it, record it. Write what happened, why it happened, and how to prevent it. That's how you transform pain into tuition. Most people repeat lessons life already taught them because they never took notes. You're running the Munger method: learn once, apply forever. 3. The emotional dip. Every growth curve has a valley. It's the point where you've done everything right, and it still feels like nothing's changing. This is where most people quit. But Munger called patience the ultimate competitive advantage. He knew progress hides behind boredom and doubt. When it feels like the effort isn't paying off, that's compounding, silent, invisible, unstoppable. Your job is simple: don't interrupt it. 4. Using rationality under pain. Pain fogs judgment. When fear spikes, your brain looks for escape routes: easy money, blame, distractions. Munger's counterattack was rational pause. He'd say, step back. The world isn't ending, it's simply reminding you to think. Try this. Before reacting to any crisis, take 5 slow breaths. Ask, what's actually true right now? Facts slice through fear. When you make even one decision from clarity instead of panic, you reclaim power, and with it, self-respect. 5. The moment of choice. Every escape story has a decision point. This is yours. You can return to the old loop: emotional spending, impulsive comfort, excuses. Or you can do what Munger did: double down on learning, patience, and rational action. It's the quieter path: no applause, no dopamine. But 6 months later, you'll see proof. The debt shrinks. The savings breathe. The mind stabilizes. Discipline compounds into dignity. And dignity, not money, is the first stage of real wealth. Then something strange happens. You stop thinking, I'm broke. You start thinking, I'm building. Same income. Different mindset. That's the inflection point. You stop seeing problems as punishments and start seeing them as training. Munger called that a moral advantage. Because once you learn to love improvement more than comfort, nothing external can make you poor again. 7. The unexpected payoff. Weeks turn into months. You're still living lean, but with control, purpose, clarity. Then opportunity shows up. A client remembers your reliability. A coworker recommends you. A small investment finally grows. It looks like luck, but it's not. It's the invisible hand of compounding, discipline paying its quiet dividend. Munger warned, the big money is not in the buying or selling, but in the waiting. You waited. Now, results arrive. Surviving one crisis doesn't mean you're done, it means you're proven. The test was never about the money. It was about who you became under pressure. Poverty taught scarcity. Munger taught perspective. Now you understand the game, and more importantly, you can teach it. But Munger left one final warning. All progress depends on not fooling yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. Never assume the mindset is locked in. The second you stop checking your biases, envy and impulse start rebuilding the trap. So stay a student, always. Because there's one last lesson Munger hinted at, a truth about wealth that almost no one wants to face. It's not about saving. It's not about investing. It's about something far deeper. Beat, fade to black. That's next. Here's the truth most people never want to hear. Wealth is not the result of money management, it's the result of mind management. Munger understood that perfectly. He said, the first rule of compounding is to never interrupt it unnecessarily. That rule wasn't just about finance. It was about your mind, your habits, your energy, your focus. Most people interrupt their own growth every day. They chase new ideas before mastering the old ones. They abandon good systems for shiny distractions. They compound chaos instead of competence. Munger's greatest lesson was simple but brutal. You are the CEO of your own mind. Run it like a business, or it will run you broke. Wealth isn't income. It's independence. It's the ability to think, choose, and act without panic. That means the person earning $2,000 a month with control, clarity, and direction is wealthier than the person earning $20,000 who's owned by debt and envy. Charlie lived modestly, but thought abundantly. He didn't need luxury, he needed accuracy. Because when you see the world clearly, you no longer crave illusions. The poverty mindset wants to look rich. The Munger mindset wants to be free. Money can vanish. Markets crash. Jobs disappear. But the one asset that can't be taken is judgment. Good judgment is transferable wealth, it works in any country, in any economy, at any stage of life. Munger built his fortune not by chasing trends, but by refining judgment, decision by decision, day by day. If you're living on a low income, that's your focus. You may not control your paycheck, but you control your perspective. And perspective, sharpened by discipline, eventually turns into leverage. Escaping poverty isn't one leap. It's 3 layers deep. Layer 1, financial control. Track your spending. Kill debt. Build discipline. Layer 2, mental clarity. Study psychology. Understand incentives. Think in probabilities, not emotions. Layer 3, character. Integrity, humility, curiosity, these compound faster than any stock. Munger once said, if you keep learning all your life, you'll get very far. If you don't, someone else will. He meant this literally. In every field, the learner eventually outruns the earner. Munger's life was shockingly simple, because simplicity gave him leverage. He said, the ability to simplify is a sign of intelligence. Complexity costs attention, and attention is the rarest currency in the modern world. Every unnecessary purchase, argument, and distraction taxes your focus, and focus is where compounding lives. The escape from poverty isn't about more, it's about less. Fewer distractions. Fewer vices. Fewer emotional debts. That's how you create room for growth. Simplicity isn't sacrifice. It's optimization. At the end of his life, Munger wasn't chasing wealth, he was giving it away. Because he understood the paradox. When you stop needing more, more starts finding you. Helping others think clearly became his ultimate investment, and it paid exponential returns in legacy. He proved that generosity is leverage in disguise. When you teach others how to think, you multiply your impact infinitely. One good idea, shared freely, can outlive every dollar you ever earn. That's how you build generational wealth without a trust fund. You pass down mental models, not money. Let's make it practical. Here's how to apply his teachings daily, even on the smallest budget. 1. Read 1 page of something useful every day. Knowledge compounds faster than cash. 2. Invert 1 bad habit per week. Ask, what would ruin me? Then stop doing that. 3. Track every dollar. Awareness alone fixes half of your financial problems. 4. Delay gratification once per day. Every time you win against impulse, you earn interest on your future. 5. Teach something you learn. It solidifies your understanding and multiplies your value. This is not about overnight success. It's about compounding you. Munger once said, "The secret to happiness is to deserve love and get it." Notice the word deserve. Not demand. Not expect. Deserve. That's the endgame of escaping the poverty mindset, to become the kind of person who deserves the good things they want. Because once you earn your self-respect through discipline and usefulness, love, trust, and opportunity follow naturally. Rational love, love grounded in integrity, is the highest form of wealth. Everything else is interest. When Munger died, he didn't just leave money, he left mental architecture. He left a blueprint for anyone willing to think. He proved that wealth built on clarity can't be destroyed by chaos. And clarity built on principle can outlast any crisis. So here's your challenge. Don't try to be Charlie Munger. Try to think like him, just one decision at a time. Every day, compound a little more discipline, a little more clarity, a little more value. Eventually, the numbers catch up to the mindset. They always do. If you have gotten value so far, do me a favor, hit like, subscribe, and comment where you are watching from. You don't need wealth to start thinking like Munger. You need thinking like Munger to start building wealth. Remember, to get what you want, you have to deserve what you want. Deserve through learning. Deserve through clarity. Deserve through discipline. And when you do, freedom stops being a dream. It becomes a skill. Compound your mind, and the money will follow.